there's a definitive reason why this is occurring as it's occurring. It goes like this: as the name suggests, Twin Peaks is as much about as it is anything else the story of dual ego deaths, repeated attempts to destroy the false persona, perhaps occurring 25 years apart, and the markedly different outcomes that occur when one integrates the shadow versus self-aggrandizing. From early adulthood, the dreamer of Twin Peaks has attempted to endure the ego death, placing her persona's avatar, Laura Palmer, through simulations of morbidity to reconstruct the repressions and events of her life, searching for meaning through symbols, external influences, and attempting to reach a sense of self while battling cognitive illness as caused by the very traumas that the show demonstrates. Carl Jung says the ego is an illusion which ends at death, but the karma remains. It is given another ego in the next illusion. In her initial attempt, as demonstrated in Fire Walk with Me, the dreamer prevents herself from being swallowed by the repressions, by her trauma, staging the battles of fight between herself and the evil of man, as played by Bob. But in doing so, she unwisely prevents all aspects of the shadow to reach assimilation. Her ego death is demonstrated in the death of Laura Palmer, but it ultimately fails when we witness in Twin Peaks, the TV show, as Cooper, the manifestation of the Jungian hero archetype, is in the internal theater of the unconscious, but on the outside, the dreamer is just a person in denial. They've elected to go, I'm fine, rather than to face the aspects of themselves that ultimately will take over because they don't deal with it. We see this as Mr. C, the shadow that takes over this person for 25 years. According to Jung's friend and most prominent protege, Jalon Jacobi, that's the noted Jungian psychologist, any obstruction of the natural processes of development or getting stuck in a level unsuited to one's age takes its revenge. If not immediately, then later on in the onset of the second half of that person's life in the form of serious crisis, nervous breakdowns, and all manner of physical and psychic sufferings. And that's precisely where we are in Twin Peaks: The Return. Jung drew a clear distinction between the layers of the unconscious. At the bottom lies the collective unconscious, universal, symbolic, or archetypal. Perhaps we see that layer, and perhaps they're represented by the dreamer's awareness of theosophy constructed as black lodges and white lodges as moving images of the collective unconscious.
Hold on.
Well, go ahead.
The dreamer's awareness of theosophy.
Yep. Yes, exactly.
So you're saying the waitress from Eat It Judy's dabbles in that on the side?
Is into some weird stuff. And it's not so uncommon. By the way, the large majority of people who responded to theosophy were female. It's not so uncommon, Anthony, for especially young women to dabble into, and dabble may be the right word, as young people will dabble into mystic, philosophies, right? They'll pull a little of this, they'll pull a little of that. How common is it to hear somebody refer to themselves as spiritual, right?
Mhm.
It's like it's an absolving of having to claim one thing over the next, but it's not an uncommon thing for people to deal in uh, notions like astrology, and astrology has firm roots in all sorts of alchemical practices. So it's not uncommon for people to read into those type of things, even if it's only dabbling. So very much so, I think that your personal unconscious, it's a collection of the things that you've seen, or maybe you have been thrust upon you, or that you consider, or things that you've collected along the way. And then in this case, it's represented as a television show, first as a television show format that was popular at the time, the soap opera, and then later as the television show formats that are popular now, which are, like closer to real but hyper real dramas. And, so yeah, I that's exactly what I think.